welcome back to part 2. So, one thing I want y'all to notice real quick is we did talk a little bit about rounding when we were talking about estimation. Remember, it says rounding makes numbers easier but follows specific rules, like round to the nearest tens, round to the nearest hundredths. So, this right here, round to the nearest hundredths, this is what we're going to do finally. All right, so kind of hinted that it was going to come around the corner, and here it is. All right. So rounding follows specific rules. Our specific rule is basically 4 and below, stay low, 5 and above, give it a shove. And then the other thing that we need to realize is what we're rounding to. Are we rounding to the nearest 10, the nearest tenths, the nearest hundredths? All right. And since we're rounding decimals, we're going to learn on this lesson how to round to the nearest tenths and hundredths. All right. So let's start off with a number. I'm just going to make up a number. Let's say 7 and 329 thousandths. All right, that's how you would say that number is 7 and 329 thousandths. All right, so remember, you have 3 place values for decimals. There's your tenths place, your hundredths place, and your thousandths place. All right, if you have not remembered your place value yet, please review where the tenths is, where the hundredths is, and where the thousandths is, because those are going to be key in you figuring out how to round to the nearest tenth or hundredth. All right, if you know where the place is, you'll be in good shape, but you have to know that to the right of the decimal point comes the tenths place and the hundredths place. All right, so we have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths over here. So let's say the first thing we want to do is round to the nearest hundredth. All right, so rounding to hundredths. All right, it's the first thing we're going to look at is rounding to hundredths. So your first step for rounding to hundredths, I'm going to write the number because I'm going to use the number 7 and 329 thousandths. Now the first thing I'm going to do is circle the hundredths place. Since I am rounding to the hundredths place, I need to pay attention to the hundredths place. It is the most important part of this problem because it's the one that's either going to stay low or get a shove. So the first thing we're going to do is circle the hundredths place. All right? So the 2 is in the hundredths place. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is draw an arrow to the boss digit. And the boss digit is kind of something that I use in my class, in Mr. Johnson's class. It's not really a technical term in math, but I think it kind of helps us understand how we decide what we're rounding to. So draw an arrow to the boss digit, which is to the right of the circle. All right, so I circled the hundredths place. Now I'm going to draw an arrow to the boss digit to the right of circle. All right, so it's the digit directly to the right of what I circled. Now, after that, we are going to say the rhyme. And after we say the rhyme, we're going to look at the boss. So, 4 and below, stay low. 5 and above, give it a shove. I'm going to look at the boss. The boss is a 9. So does it follow the rule? 4 and below, stay low? Or is the boss a 5 and above, give it a shove? So I want you to take a guess on that. And when we come back, we're going to talk about it. So is the boss the thousandths place 9? Is it a 4 and below, stay low? Or is it a 5 and above, give it a shove? Oops. Come back and we'll talk about it.